Alright, what's up guys? This is NinjaDeathStrike, bringing you my very first play TCG match. Pokemon TCGO done for me anyhow. I think it's still going to be up for a week or two while they get the new trainer challenge finished, but as soon as they announced it was going down, I stopped playing immediately just so I could shift over to play TCG and kind of get accustomed to things. So this is going to be my first match with the Dark Explorers set. I know it's not quite out yet, but it's close enough, and the scans are all up on Play TCG, so I'm going to start using Dark decks, or not Dark decks, well, Dark Explorers decks, because I'm bored with the others. So here we go. I'm playing GunMonkey696 in this video. I will probably be playing him quite often since Play TCG, it's a lot better and more fun when you play people you know. Also, since Dark Explorers is so new, there are a ton of decks we both need to test, so we've been doing quite a bit of play testing together over the last week. So I have a few matches backed up from there, and I figured I would start with this one just because I'm playing the big deck that everyone kind of is talking about right now, and that is the Dark deck featuring Zoroark and Darkrai EX. You'll notice I also have Weevil into this deck just because Weevil is a good card and you need stuff to fill your bench. So I figured, why not go with Weevil? This current version I'm running actually plays Collector. I have both versions, but I've been testing pretty exclusively with the Collector version right now. I should probably do some testing with Dual Ball as well, but hopefully I'll get to that later. So this is a bit of an odd match. My opponent, you'll notice, is playing a very strange deck. He's got Celebi Prime, Skyro Bridge, and Oddish, so some kind of Crash Trainer Lock deck. He's actually using an Excelgor deck that he built, which is really innovative. But a bit of an oddball deck. This is actually the only match I have recorded with the Dark deck, and it was a pretty decent one, so I figured it would be a good first video. Anyhow, getting into what's actually happening in the match, you'll notice that I was able to use Ascension with Zorua on turn 1 to get a turn 1 Zoroark, which is really, really scary. Both Sam and I have played quite a bit with the Dark deck. It's probably been our most played deck. I'd say about half the time either one or the other of us is using it. So I've seen it quite a bit. I've played against it and played with it, and it is really, really good. Some people maybe were speculating it wouldn't be that great, but it's a really strong card, especially with the turn 1 Ascension and being able to threaten big damage on turn 2. So you'll notice a couple seconds ago I got End. That kind of sucks for me because I had a Weevil in my hand, so I would have liked to hang on to that, but alas, I had to shuffle it back in. Luckily, the hand that I do get is serviceable. I've got some options. I've got that Dark Energy, which is going to be really nice. I get a Dark Claw here, and I decide I'm just going to attach it. I see that Oddish down there, so I know Trainer Lock is coming sooner or later. The sooner I can play all of my trainers, or the more trainers I can get out of my hand, the better. And so I just decided to go ahead and put that on Darkrai and go for my own N. Wow. I'm playing a Vileplume deck, so I know N is probably not going to help me that much late game, so I would prefer to get them out of my deck now so I don't get stuck with them later. And there was really no need to play the Collector on this turn since I'll be able to take a prize without it. So I just decided to go for the N and maybe even disrupt my opponent's hand a little bit. So I take the first prize on Celebi here, which is nice for me. But unfortunately, I end my opponent into a Twins, and so he is going to be able to get his rare candy Vileplume on, I believe this is just turn 2, so he's going to be able to set up turn 2, which is really, really bad for me. I only played, I think, one train. No, did I play any trainers? I might not have played a single trainer, so that means I'm going to have a deck full of useless cards this game. Turn 2 Vileplume is just so strong, disruption-wise, and he's really got a great setup here. He got that Sky Arrow Bridge down really early. He's got Smeargle, so he's going to portrait me here. I believe he's going to go for N. I'm not entirely sure. But what? Oh yeah, so his setup is looking really strong. The only thing he's missing right now is an attacker. He's just got his supporting guys. He opted to bench that Sun Current. That means Sunflora will probably be coming down pretty soon. It looks like he went for the Oak here over the N, which is fine. I had so many supporters. I might have gone for an N here just because my hand's pretty strong. So going for N and putting me down to 5 would be pretty good play, but instead he just goes for the Oak. So unfortunately he can't really do anything else this turn, and that is wonderful for me. I'm going to opt to hang on to my draw supporters here and just go for the Collector so I can finish setting up my bench. I grab another Zorua, another Weevil, and a third Zorua, because Zoroark is really going to be your main beat stick with this deck. Darkrai is good, but he's better later game. He takes quite a while to power up, especially if you can't use Dark Patch, which I'm not able to do here because of Trainer Lock. So I decide I will just go ahead and start powering him up. He does have the ability to hit the bench, which seems like it'll be pretty useful in a Trainer Lock deck. And on top of that, I know that Sam is playing Excelgor, and Darkrai has a lot of hit points, so it's going to take him a while to go down, and I thought that would be good. Also, his attack does 90 damage always. That's a guaranteed OHKO on any Excelgor, assuming I do get the chance to attack with him. So here comes the Shelmet. I didn't know what the new one did. I didn't actually know if it still had 3 retreat, but it turns out it does. And its attack needs double grass, but there's a chance for Perilous, so I'm assuming that's why it's being played here over the other one, so that even if Excelgor can't come out, maybe Shelmet can actually stall for a couple of turns with the Perilous flips. So he gets a Collector, or he had the Collector. He's just going to decide to bench everything but Virizion. I'm not actually sure what Virizion is doing in this deck. I assume it's just an early opener, maybe to help the deck not fall too far behind on the prize count. And yeah, so that would be my assumption. But he's not going to play it down here because he actually needs the bench space for other stuff. The idea with this deck is that you need to be able to stream Excelgors turn after turn. And not only do you need to get the cards in play, which is what Sunflora is for, but you also need to get 2 energy onto him every turn. You see that attack is called Deck and Cover. So what happens is it shuffles Excelgor and all the cards attached to it back into the deck. So you need to be able to constantly attach the energies as well. And that's why Celebi is in the deck, so that Forest Breath can accomplish that pretty easily. So he doesn't really have a play here, though, because there's no way for him to get Excelgor this turn. Instead, he does decide to drop the Virizion and just get some damage, but I've got my bench fully set up now. That means Brutal Bash, that's Zoroark's first attack, is going to be hitting for 120 damage. It's 130 with the Darkness Energy, so I'm able to KO that Virizion in one shot, and just really showing off the power of Zoroark. But Sunshine Grace here is going to get him his second Excelgor, so now he's got 2. That means he has the DCE as well, and I'm going to get N down to 3, which is pretty scary for me. I know that I have a ton of trainers in my hand, and there's a high chance I'm going to draw into them. Luckily here, I actually hit 2 supporters, so incredibly lucky draw off of that N, not going to lie. And I got another Dark Energy too, which is fantastic. It means I'm going to be able to get my first Darkrai fully powered here. So down comes another Celebi. This is actually not the card that Sam wanted to bench. In order for this deck to work, you need a very, very specific bench setup, and that is 2 Sunflora, 1 Vileplume, 1 Celebi, and 2 Excelgor, and that way you can just keep the Excelgor cycle going infinitely once you get it established, assuming you can hit your energies. If you get stuck on energies, you're obviously going to be in some trouble, but it's the best possible setup available to the deck. So Zoroark finally goes down here. Deck and cover means that Excelgor goes back into the deck, which was not a huge deal for me here, and actually it's not that big a deal in general for me, just because my attacks kill them in one shot, so it's not like they're healing the damage. But now I promote Darkrai just because he's not going to be killed anytime soon. He's actually a 3-hit KO. I know that I'm going to get poisoned and paralyzed here, which kind of sucks, but at least I have the 1 turn to respond, and I go for the Night Spear, take out the active Celebi, do 30 to the bench, which was kind of a mistake. I would have been much better off hitting that Sunflora, just because Celebi is always going to be the one to come active after an attack. So if I get to attack anything, it's going to be Celebi, and I'm going to be able to take it out in one shot anyhow. So it would have been better off spreading damage to the Sunflora, and maybe I could have taken that out if I got a couple of attacks in. So here we get a Twins. He actually shows me the cards, which you don't have to do with Twins. I know most of the supporters, you have to show what you get into your hand, but here with Twins, you don't have to. You can just take the cards. But it was just energy anyhow, and they're both going to come into play immediately. One with a Forest Breath, the other with a manual attachment. And so that really does not make that big of a deal at all. And then thanks to Sunshine Grace, wow, on Sunflora there on the bench, he's also going to be able to get another Excelgor up. I believe that's what he did. But he goes for duck and cover. It actually only does 50 damage, but I put 70 on here just because we are under trainer lock, and I am poisoned and paralyzed, so that means I won't be able to do anything, and I take 10 damage from poison in between both turns, so it's gonna, the end result is gonna be me having 70 damage going into his turn. Here I just attach the rescue energy to Darkrai number 2. I know that this one, the active one, he got 1 attack off, and that's probably all he's going to be able to get, just because now the deck and cover stream is going to start, and he's just going to be paralyzed and poisoned until he dies. So I really need to start building up the second one. Off of that Oak, I get an okay hand. I've got an energy and a supporter. Those are really the only 2 cards that are going to do anything in my deck right now. So even though the other 3 cards are useless, I'm okay with the hand I have, because I've got an attachment to Darkrai next turn, and I've got a Juniper to get rid of this garbage in my hand. So feeling pretty good. Over on Sam's side of the field, we've got Celebi active again, and now he's going to go for an Oak. What he really needs to do here is hit grass energies. That way he can Forest Breath and attach to the benched Shelmet, because that Shelmet is going to have to come up and attack as soon as the Excelgor goes with Duck and Cover this coming turn. So he does hit both the grass energies he needs to charge up right away. Celebi retreats. The first Excelgor comes out, and I'm just preparing for the deck and cover here. I go ahead and add my damage in advance because I know it's coming. There's nothing I can do to stop it. So, yep, there's deck and cover back into the deck. I'm at 130 damage now. I will be at 140 after I pass for my turn. So I top deck a Zorua. Really not doing anything for me. I've kind of made the decision to attack with Darkrai here. So that extra Zorua is not really going to help at all. And I'm pretty sure I'm just going to end up Junipering everything away here. If I don't, it would probably be a mistake. Wow, I just passed. I definitely should have played the Juniper there just because I have so many items in my hand. This is a great opportunity to ditch them. So that even if I did get end, I'm sure that's what I was worried about here. I didn't want to get end right after a Juniper and then get stuck with garbage. I'd rather have the Juniper in the deck, but I think the opportunity to really thin my deck out and get rid of those garbage cards that just aren't going to do anything this match was better than saving the Juniper on the possibility of an N. Anyhow, that decision was made. Too late to take it back now, and I'm just going to have to wait and see what happens, see if I get N this turn or not. So Celebi's active. He actually goes for Forest Breath here on Vileplume. At this point, he's realizing the situation is pretty dire. This Darkrai is going to go down here, but another one is going to come up, and I only need to take 2 more prizes. So you see here, Celebi comes up, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where I should have just gone for Sunflora, because I think, well, I guess I would only put it at 60, but regardless of that, it's still a better decision to attack the Sunflora just in case, because I'd be able to put it to 60 here, and that means that even though I'm going to lose this Darkrai, I can probably actually afford to, since he still has 3 prizes to take. And then if I can get another Night Spear off, I'd be able to take out the Sunflora too. But it doesn't really matter, because if I get to attack 2 more times, I'm going to win regardless. I actually OHKO everything in his deck with the exception of Vileplume. So it's not a real big deal, but it would have been better to attack the Sunflora. And I just realized that Grass Energy that was on Vileplume the last turn is from the beginning of the match, so never mind what I said earlier. But here, we've got another Sunkern coming down. It's a little bit too late now. He definitely needed that. Earlier game, you noticed that he's all out of Excelgor. He hasn't been able to stream them quick enough. So he does get a Shelmet here, but it won't be able to evolve. And then he actually goes for a Ceylon, which is a really interesting card in this deck, and very effective when paired with Celebi, since it guarantees you those 2 energies you're going to need to go for deck and cover. So that was a very nice tech on his behalf. But it doesn't change the fact that he is not in good shape here. He's going to have to give up something, because he doesn't have an attack, and I just promoted Sneasel. Obviously, I'm not going to expose Darkrai before I have the ability to use him, and I don't care about Sneasel at all. I've got another one on the bench and another one in my hand, so he can't actually do anything here. He just ends up passing, which is great for me, because I have that Juniper in hand. I don't remember. I guess I've been holding on to it forever, haven't I? That's the same one I was talking about last turn. But I decide now is the time to go for the Juniper. I was actually able to ditch even more items than I had before, but here I get really bad hand. I got a Dark Energy, so that's good, but then I got N, which would put me at 2 cards and 5 trainers. So pretty useless hand. I would love to have that Juniper again to just throw this entire thing into the garbage can, but unfortunately I'm kind of stuck with it. At least with the N, there's a chance for disruption with him too, because he's down to so few prizes that an N to 3 could be pretty disruptive, especially since he's going to need energy to attack. So I'm also going to be able to take out his Celebi here, so that is his energy accelerator gone. Means he's going to have to rely on DCEs to get any more Excelgor attacks off. He will definitely get one this turn. He's got the Shelmet with 2 energy on the bench, and he actually has the Excelgor in hand, which is really good for him. Means that he'll be able to Sunshine Grace. Wow, that is a hard ability to say for me. And get another Excelgor either this turn or next turn. It seems like he actually forgot a few Sunshine Graces here and there. I didn't see him search his deck as many times as I think he could have, so maybe he just missed it. Since we're both kind of adjusting to play TCG and the fact that it's not automated at all, so you really need to pay attention to what you're doing. It's actually pretty easy to make mistakes like this and do things that either forget to do things that you can do or do things that you are not supposed to be able to do, so you have to be real careful when you're playing. But anyhow, he has Excelgor now, and he does have the energy to attack, so I know I'm going to get poisoned and paralyzed again. I just go ahead and get all my counters ready to mark that, and yeah, I really just need energy at this point. If I get 2 energy, I win. That's what it's going to come down to. If I get 2 energy attached before Darkrai goes down, I will win, because Darkrai has an HP level where he can't kill it on my turn, so I will be able to get a response attack off after it finally goes down. But I'm just going to need the energy to do that. So you see here, I get another item. So I have 7 items in my hand now, and an N, which is awful, because not only would I end myself down to 1, I would draw. The probability of me drawing one of these 7 useless cards in my hand is pretty high, so I really don't want to play the N. Even though it would disrupt him, it would just be terrible for me. There's no chance of it really helping. So I'm basically just in top deck mode, but I chose to keep these garbage cards in my hand just to increase the probability of me drawing into something useful. And here I do top deck that dark energy, so I can't do anything else since I'm paralyzed and poisoned, but I can at least attach the energy, and now I just need 1 more energy to be able to win the game. So it's actually getting pretty close. If he had a Celebi here, I think he probably would have been able to pull out the win. This match ended up being really close. That turn 2 Vileplume hurt me a whole lot, and you guys have obviously seen throughout the match I've just had a handful of trainers the whole time. So here he actually thinks about going into Vileplume just because it's the one card I can't take out in one shot on his side of the field. Then he decides to undo it. That actually would have been the better play. By going for... Actually, he can't even attack. He's going to go for the hammer in the first attack, which is going to put me at 170, 10 short of a knockout, which kind of sucks since I'm not paralyzed anymore, and I'm just able to go for the Night Spear to take him out, and that is going to be the game. So that's what I was saying earlier. Had he gone into Vileplume there, he could have bought himself 1 more turn and maybe even gotten something going. I think that would have been the better play rather than just giving me the win, essentially. He felt trapped, and it turns out it really didn't matter. My next card was a Juniper on top of that deck, and then the one after that was Dark Energy, so yeah, I would have won anyhow, but he could have tried the Vileplume thing if he had wanted to. Anyhow, that is going to be the very first Dark Explorers match. I feel like I rambled through a lot of this narration. Hopefully you guys were able to keep up. It's good. I've got some time to talk now because I want to put up the card scans anyhow so you can see what the new cards in my deck are doing. But like I said, Sam and I have been playtesting a lot. I've tried to record the decent matches we've had. Some of them just are really one-sided and not very interesting, but over the next coming weeks, I will be trying to showcase as many decks as I can, also while working on hammering out the list for the ones I'm going to play more often. But I think I'll be able to continue uploading TCG at a fairly reasonable fairly reasonable rate. So stay tuned for another match with a new deck coming up in a couple of days. Comment, let me know what you think about how Play TCG looks. I know it's not as pretty as PTCGO, but at least it's functional and I can play friends, and you know, I don't get stuck recording matches against people with basic yellow. So anyhow, I really am done talking now. Comment, rate, sub, all that good stuff. More coming your way shortly. Thanks, guys.